Hi guys, okay, it's time to start repressing. I delayed doing this video because I really wanted to have a nice fresh manicure for you guys, and I finally painted my nails, and now a whole week has gone by since I've had a chance to film this. So the manicure is looking rough, but we're gonna keep the show going because if I wait to do another manicure, this could take another 6 months because that's kind of how it's going right now. But the tools I use are a piece of paper towel, 91% rubbing alcohol. You can use whatever the other one is, 76% or whatever it is, but the 91% rubbing alcohol dries a little bit faster, so that's why they recommend this. I have my little glass container that I like to use for pouring the powders in. I have a dropper for the alcohol, and I have a butter knife from my kitchen. I really wish I had one of those spatulas like the real pros have, and I will probably invest in one at some point, but I don't currently own one of those really nice like metal spatulas, so I just use the butter knife from the kitchen and it works just fine. I have a bunch of products over here that I'm hoping to repress. I use the same cup for everything, so I tend to go from lightest to darkest for this project. And first of all, I'm actually not planning to repress, so we're going to do that first. The first thing I want to do is take this Laura Mercier highlight and just crush it all up. This product broke last year sometime, and every time I use it, it crumbles more, and I don't want bits of it to start falling down my bathroom sink. So I'm just going to dump whatever's loose in here into this cup. There's still plenty of product here to use up, so I can still use that the way it is. And I'm just going to crush up whatever's in here to as small of a piece as I can, and I'm going to pour it into this container. This is an old container that used to house a powder anyway, so this was Magic by Prescriptive, so it was a little sample. And for the type of brush I use to apply my highlighter, this container will work just fine. And I think I will like it so much better. So I'm literally just going to take my knife and do that. This is a real easy one. The reason I'm not repressing this is because it's a baked product, and I'm a little skeptical when it comes to repressing baked makeup. I never feel like it represses the same because they use different materials to get the baked powder, or maybe there's products that they use for the regular pressed eyeshadows that they don't use for baked. I don't know, but because of that, I'm just going to crush it up and use it loose, which I'm fine with. I think it'll be a beautiful highlight as a loose highlight. I'm actually kind of looking forward to it, so that's the plan for this. While I am doing this, though, I do have some questions that some of you submitted to me. Thank you to those of you guys who submitted some questions for this Q&A repressing sesh. So I have my iPad over here, and we'll get started. Actually, maybe I'll move my iPad out of the way so you're not seeing me put in my passcode. How about that? You can still see it, can't you? Hazel's at dance class right now, and I have to be there at 5:30. So I don't have a whole lot of time. We might have to break this up. Okay, so the first question is submitted by Amok. And she asked, have your thoughts on decluttering the e.l.f. 100 pan palette changed after nearly 4 months of working on it? I don't know if I had any strong opinions on the e.l.f. 100 pan palette before. I don't know if I ever like really considered decluttering it. I know a lot of you guys have encouraged me to declutter it over the years, and I mean, to that extent, I did consider it, but I know there's a lot of good shadows in that palette that I want to use and enjoy, and so I don't know what my previous thoughts were on the palette, but so far I am enjoying it. I haven't had too many days where I was just miserable. Like, I feel like by this time last year with my Viseart palette, I was struggling with some of the shadows in that palette, and there was only 8. And so far, I haven't really felt that way with the e.l.f. 100 pan palette. I am always consistently shocked by the looks that I can create with that palette. And generally, I'm not doing looks with that palette alone. What I find myself tending to do is using that palette to like set up a look or create some like base shades or use a crease shade. But then I find like an eyeshadow that has really good quality that I really love. Not that it's a really expensive eyeshadow, but that it just performs beautifully. And I use it on top of the look as like a topper. And I've been having a lot of fun with that. So like bringing in the shadows from my Pan in Every Palette project as toppers, or, you know, just little singles that I put in different projects has made the e.l.f. 100 Pan palette even better than it already is. So I'm enjoying it very much. I am really shocked by how much use I'm getting out of some of the colors I didn't think I'd be using at all, like the greens. I did not see that coming whatsoever. I am just shocked by how much use I'm getting out of a couple of the greens already. And I'm shocked by how little I'm using the purples, but I guess after a year of 50 Shades of Purple, I'm kind of taking a break from it. One tool that I really wish I had right now that I didn't pull out for this is a makeup brush. So I think I'm gonna go run and grab a brush so that I can flick the rest of this powder into this container. Be right back. Okay, I just grabbed this e.l.f. C brush. It's clean, which says a lot because I don't have a lot of clean makeup brushes. They're all pretty dirty. And it's a good size for the job. Yep, that was perfect. So yeah, so far I'm really enjoying my e.l.f. 100 Pan palette from my Pan That palette. I'm sure I will hit a wall at some point. I have hit a wall with every Pan That palette I've ever done. And this is like my 6th year doing Pan That palette or something. So I'm sure the wall is coming, but so far I've found the 100 pans that have given me a lot of variety, and I've been happy with the looks I've been wearing this year. So no complaints about my e.l.f. 100 Pan palette right now, other than I only have one finished pan. That's my only complaint, and I wish I had more by now. But you guys know I'm pretty slow when it comes to panning. All right, so this one is done for now. I'm just, like I said, I'm just gonna be using this as a loose highlight, and maybe I'll finish this first and then I'll finish the rest of this off, or vice versa. I'm not sure, but there's plenty of product still stuck to this tile that I need to use up. And this highlighter is in my Beauty A to Z this year, so I think it was last year too. Okay, the next product I want to repress is my Shade and Light contour palette. This one is in desperate need of repressing. I have these two shades right here, and it is getting really hard to access them with the brush that I use to set my under eyes. And I always mix the two powders together, so I don't see a point in repressing them separately. I'm just gonna combine the product from the two together and repress them in one of these pans. It doesn't really matter which one. But I wish I would have gotten this done before April 30th so I could count one of these pans toward my April empties and low buy update, but that's okay. It will be in my May empties and low buy update. So I'm just gonna take my butter knife and crush them up and then dump it into this cup together. And I will start with the next question. Okay, so the next question is from Lauren. And she asks, would you ever do a pass it on box where you take unused items you don't want and pass them along? Then the receiver can choose items they will use, add items, and mail to another person. I would so do that. At this moment in time, and in past moments when I had opportunities to do a pass it on box, my answer would be no. There is something about that makes me very nervous. I've seen other people get a lot of joy from that and have a lot of fun with it. And I can see why they have a lot of fun with it. But unfortunately, the way my brain works, that's just not my kind of fun. Like, first of all, I would want every piece of makeup in that box, I'm sure. I just know myself. I would want to keep everything and not pass anything along. That's just the kind of little makeup monster I am. Like, I don't think I would do very well with a swap box. I don't know. But also, like, you know, with my low buy system, it doesn't matter if I'm getting used makeup, free makeup, or brand new makeup, or high-end makeup. It all counts against my low buy. So if I'm going to bring in new makeup, I think I'd rather just buy something new specifically that I really want rather than take my chance on a swap box. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's kind of like a subscription. Like, subscriptions are really fun, but if you're really trying to limit what you're bringing in, it's a really bad idea, because you're probably going to get some stuff that you might get something that you really wanted or didn't even know that you wanted and fall in love with. But most likely you're going to get a bunch of stuff that you didn't necessarily want and don't really need. And now you're responsible for getting rid of it or using it or selling it or whatever. Like, it's kind of why I realized that swap boxes or subscription boxes weren't for me. And I kind of feel the same way about the swap boxes. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's for me. I've seen videos where people do the swap boxes and they look like they're having a blast. And it looks like sometimes they find a real gem in there, you know, something they really, really wanted and couldn't get any other way because it's been discontinued, or, kitty, stop growling. You know, it's no longer available. And so they're able to score this awesome palette that they've wanted that's, you know, gently used. So that's really cool, but I don't know. I just don't think it's for me. Kitty, stop growling. Kitty's just looking out the window and oh, Kitty. Kitty. Are you done now? Oh, nope, she's not done. She is the worst. There's some cute little dog out there, and she wants to just bark her head off at it because she's a jerk. Wow, getting all the powder out of this palette feels like it's going to take a long time. It just doesn't want to go. It's really sticking in these corners. And then it's sticking to the palette and sticking to the pans. Maybe that's what makes it such a good powder. I love these powders. I'm going to be okay, but I'm sad that they're almost gone. I will survive. I have found, I haven't talked about this yet, but I tried a kind of cream colored eyeshadow from my e.l.f. 100 pan palette as an under eye setting powder, but it doesn't hold a candle to this. I wore it on a day that I was filming, and I was editing that video, and I was like, good Lord, I look exhausted. I just look so tired because it really didn't cover up the darkness under my eyes really at all. Despite the fact that I had a color corrector and a cream concealer and a powder on, it just didn't do it. Okay, I think I'm gonna stop right there. There is so little product that came out of those two pans. This is gonna be gone in no time. The deadline for this to be gone is June 9th, I think. I'm not too worried about that. I think I'll be able to finish this off by June 9th without any difficulty whatsoever. All right, next question. Okay, the next question is from Courtney, and she asks, how did you become a makeup lover and how did you get into panning? Great questions. I don't know exactly how I became a makeup lover. I know I became a makeup lover at a very young age. I feel like I've told this story before, but it was probably a very long time ago. But I have a very distinct memory. So I have all my cousins on my mom's side are girls. And they're all a few years older than me, like between 2 and 4 years older than me. And I distinctly remember that at family parties, I had an aunt, and she would shop at Marshall Field. She was a big Marshall Field shopper. So I'm going to take my alcohol and mix it into here. And she must have ordered something from Clinique pretty regularly, because she would get lipsticks from Clinique, and I'm guessing it was part of a like gift with purchase set. And at family parties, she would give my older cousins the lipsticks, but I never was offered them because I was still pretty young. And I remember being absolutely crushed that I was not being considered for these lipsticks. Like, I got passed over, and I was so sad that I was passed over for these lipsticks, because I knew that I really wanted a lipstick, but I mean, the truth was I probably was way too young. But that really stuck with me. And then the other thing that really stuck out, because in high school I was really, I was on track and swimming, and I was not into wearing makeup whatsoever in high school. It was just not my thing at all, because I had practiced before school and after school, and I was exhausted all the time. I was just so tired. So the idea of like putting on makeup, just no, it was just not a thing for me in high school. And so it wasn't until college when I met Jamie. So when I did 2 years of prerequisites for the occupational therapy program, and I wasn't really wearing makeup during those first 2 years either. But then when I got into the occupational therapy program was when I met Jamie, one of my dearest friends, and she was into shopping at the mall. And so back then we had a lot more disposable income. I was working at Kohl's part-time, and I had my own source of income. And her fiance, who's now her husband, was employed, and since she was going to college, he, you know, would kind of give her some spending cash. And so we would go to the mall a lot, and she was the one who kind of taught me about like how if you shop at these different makeup counters at, you know, at Marshall Fields, it was Marshall Fields back then, now it's Macy's. But she kind of told me, like, you know, you got to look out for the gifts with purchase, and then you can score all the free makeup. And we would just like, it felt like hunting. It was so much fun. It was the hunt for the free makeup, and the gifts with purchase was really how we spent a lot of time. And of course, we like to shop for clothes and jewelry and other things too. But that was definitely kind of what kicked my love for makeup off for real the second time. Okay. Now that I have that little blob just sitting down there, I'm just going to press it down with this paper towel. What was I saying before Kitty rudely interrupted me? But yeah, that definitely kicked off a pretty serious love of makeup for me. I wasn't necessarily wearing a lot of makeup, but I was starting to bring in a lot of makeup. And Jamie would then declutter a lot of her makeup to me. And I realized I was accumulating a lot of makeup, and I wasn't really wearing a lot. And I didn't really know what to do with it. I mean, I kind of had an idea, but it just seemed like I felt like makeup was for special occasions at that time. And there was never a special occasion worth putting makeup on for. That's kind of what I looked at makeup as at that time, was like special occasion. And I think a lot of people feel that way, but it wasn't until I discovered YouTube in 2010 was the year that I discovered YouTube and beauty tutorials. It's when I got my first smartphone. I didn't own a smartphone before 2010. So in 2010, I got my first smartphone. I spent about 6 months looking at videos of, you know, Charlie biting his brother's finger, and the panda sneezing, and some orangutan or chimpanzee digging in his butt and sniffing it and passing out. Like, I would just watch those videos over and over and over again. And then I stumbled upon It's Judy Time. and her makeup channel, and I completely fell in love with her, and I got hooked. So that's kind of what kicked it off. Okay, one pan done. I am very pleased with how this turned out. This will be much easier to use now. There's nothing to scrape out of the sides. It's just all right there in the middle. Perfect. And this pan is gone, so I have another empty for my low buy update, so that's good. And this shouldn't take too long at all to finish. There's hardly anything in there. It is really almost gone. Okay, I have to go pick up my daughter, so we're gonna have to pick this up where I left off in a bit. I'll see you guys really soon. Okay, I am back. It has been about 3 hours since I last filmed, but I picked Hazel up from dance and I made the kids dinner and we hung out for about an hour and they just went to bed. So I am very excited and motivated to keep going with this because I feel like I haven't been able to use these products for a while now and I want to get back to using them. So I have 2 down and several to go. Next, I am going to repress this sample of the Clinique Gentle Glow Powder. It is smashed to bits. So I'm just going to dump that in there. And before I work on that, I'm going to clean up this compact a little bit to bring it back to life. It's looking a little grungy. I know I could have probably mixed this powder in with the Shade and Light, but I use the Shade and Light powder specifically for my under eyes, and I use this powder specifically as like an all over setting powder. So I'm gonna keep it separate, but hopefully I will be able to I just feel like there's so little product left in all of these pans. Like hopefully I can just get them done pretty quickly. Wow, this is already looking so much better. So I think I answered half of the last question from Courtney. I think I answered the how did I get into becoming a makeup lover, but the next question was how did I get into panning? And the answer is simply I fell into it. I had tried panning at one time before I knew panning was a thing. I didn't know it was panning. But I remember at some point looking at all of the makeup I owned and thinking, this is crazy. Like I realized that I was suffering from decision fatigue in the morning, and that was a huge wake-up call when it occurred to me that I was not only wasting a lot of time deciding which blush would go with which eyeshadow, which would go with which lipstick, but I was also wasting a lot of mental energy on the task of debating these things that really were irrelevant in the long run, and were kind of using up valuable mental capacity before I'd even walked out of the door for work in the morning. And so I remember thinking to myself, like, this is crazy. You have to get a system. So at that point, I picked out one lipstick and one eyeshadow, or one eyeshadow palette and one blush and, you know, one of everything. And I thought, you need to use this until it's gone, because this is madness. This is absolute madness. And so I challenged myself to do that, and I didn't last very long at all. I failed really quickly because I got bored. I got bored with using the same thing. I think I might have lasted 2 weeks. I mean, I didn't last very long at all. And, you know, of course, I didn't have the support of the panning community back then. It was just me and myself kind of trying to make this happen. And I failed at it really quickly. But I did try panning before I knew panning was a thing. I probably tried it a couple of times, but ultimately it always ended up in failure, which is, you know, disappointing, but no surprise. And so it was when I was on my second maternity leave. So I took a year off with both kiddos. I took a year off when I had Ron. And then I went back to work for about a year. And then I got pregnant with Hazel and during that year. And then I took another year off. So I basically took a year off, worked a year, and then took another year off. And that second year off really got to me. Like I was feeling extremely lonely, extremely isolated. All my friends were at work all day long. I couldn't call them and be like, hey, you want to come over and hang out? And I was watching a lot of YouTube. Well, not a lot, but some. And at the time, a lot of the beauty YouTubers were saying, you know, here's my Instagram account. Come find me on Instagram. And I wanted to see what they were talking about because I didn't know what Instagram really was. So I hopped onto Instagram and opened up an account. I called it A Beauty Guru Made Me Do It because literally they kept saying, come on over to Instagram and follow me there. And that's the whole reason I was there. It really had nothing to do with my makeup shopping. It had nothing to do with my makeup style. It had to do with the fact that I was watching makeup YouTubers or beauty gurus on YouTube who were telling me to go to Instagram and open an account so I could check them out there. And that's literally why I did that. So that's why I picked that name. And I just figured I would get on there and creep around, you know, see what people were doing on Instagram. I didn't think I would attract any attention because I wasn't there to attract attention. And like I went to bed that night after opening up my account. I think I followed Emily Noel and maybe like 2 other YouTubers. I followed like 2 accounts. I had this super tiny account. And I went to bed that night, and when I woke up that next morning, I had like 2 or 3 followers. And I was like, what? Who's following me and why? Of course, I didn't really realize how Instagram worked back then, but all of a sudden I was like, people are following me? Do I have some expectation to post something? So then I started thinking, well, I could post something. I got a lot of makeup. I could post my makeup on here. And I didn't really have a plan, but I decided to start posting. And so initially when I opened up my Instagram account, I was posting the deals I was getting on the makeup I was buying. I was still buying a lot of makeup back then. And so I figured I would post the great deals I was getting through my shopping. And so my first few posts were all about the great deals I got during shopping or the sale prices. And I would post the pictures of the items I bought and my receipt and like the discount I got. And I would talk about what I got on discount. And that was my first few posts. And then pretty soon after I started posting, I stumbled across a panning post. And I was flabbergasted. I thought, oh my gosh, somebody else is doing what I tried that one time. Like I tried that. I had no idea it was called panning, like I said, but I was just amazed that there was somebody else panning. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I just literally fell down the rabbit hole after that because, everybody uses hashtags on Instagram. So if somebody, puts the hashtag Project Pan or Panning Community or whatever, you click on that, hashtag and all of a sudden you find 100 other accounts that are talking about project panning, and you realize there's this whole world of project panning out there. And I stumbled upon a specific project. I think it was one that was created by Meg Fish, or I think her name was Meg Fish. I never really followed her on YouTube, but she has a YouTube channel. And she was doing the 24 by the 4th of July. And that project had probably been going on for like 6 months or something, or 3 months. And I think it was like June 2nd or something. Like it was into June when I discovered this. And I was like, that's it, I'm going to do it. And that night before I picked my products, like I literally was so hopped up with excitement that I could not fall asleep. I was so excited to wake up the next morning and pick the products and, choose what I was going to pan that I could not fall asleep that night. I was just, oh my gosh, I was so inspired and encouraged, and I could just I was visually, I'm laying in bed going, Paula, you need to fall asleep. And as I'm saying that to myself, I'm imagining the items that are sitting in my you know, bathroom cabinets and, you know, sitting on the bathroom counter. Like, what can I put into this project? Like, what can I realistically finish in, you know, 5 weeks or whatever? And I could barely sleep that night. I was just so excited. And I woke up the next morning and I came downstairs and I picked my 24 products, and it was unbelievable how many products I had that were like so close to being done, like 1 more use or 5 more uses or 15 more uses, like an eyeshadow with just a sliver of shadow left in the pan and it's almost gone, and you know, all these other little things that I had just lying around that were so close to being gone, but for whatever reason I didn't finish. And I think that's kind of like a typical like hoarding thing to do. I think a lot of hoarders do that. Like they use up almost all of a product, but they can't quite like finish it. I was definitely guilty of doing that, which just seems crazy to me now. I just can't relate to that way of thinking, you know, after all these years. But that was definitely me at that time. Like, oh, it's almost gone. Better put it under the kitchen's, you know, the bathroom sink and save it for the next 10 years because you don't want to completely use it up. It's just a very foreign idea to me now, but I'm definitely aware that that's what I was doing. And, you know, the more I started posting about project panning, the more I ran into other project panners. And then before I knew it, I was friends with Jessica and Amanda. And then they had started the Fantastic Ladies on Facebook. And I wasn't directly part of them initially. There was a group of them that started it together and they were doing projects together. And I was just following them on Instagram. And I think eventually I joined in on a project. And that's kind of how I met Jessica and Amanda. But I wasn't initially part of the Fantastic Ladies group when they started the Facebook group. I know, like, I think Brandy Renee and Claire, Elizabeth. I don't know who else. But yeah, I don't think I was originally part of the group. So here's the finished powder pressed. I really like the way that turned out. There's still like a little sliver of pan showing around almost the entire product, and again, it's very flat, not much left. Very excited. Okay, next I think we're gonna do this butter bronzer. It has been very hard to access the remaining product with my brush, but hopefully once I repress it, it'll go very quickly, because that tends to be what happens when you repress a product. Okay, the next question is from Amaranta. I hope I'm saying that right. And she asks, what is your favorite product, or what are your favorite products to pan? Oh, that's a good question. Well, I tend to go for lip products and eye products the most, but I don't think it's because I love panning them. It's because that's what I have an obscene amount of. I have an obscene amount of lip products, and I have an obscene amount of eye products. Just way more. I also have an obscene amount of blush products, but I think my favorite products to pan are, I think I'm leaning towards eyeshadows. I really do like to pan eyeshadows. I know I'm pretty slow at it. It's not like I whiz through it, but they're small enough that I can see the progress. Like, I can kind of monitor my progress as I go along. Panning a little deluxe sample of a face powder like this is possibly like the most satisfying product to pan. And I'm kind of dreading the day when I finally pan all of those and all I have left are full-size face powders, because it has been so fun to kind of just get through those deluxe samples pretty quickly. But I don't know how many more I have. I'm kind of starting to get through my stash. I really dislike panning lip products. It is possibly, lip products and nail products are like, nail polishes and lip products are the most frustrating products to pan. It's like watching paint dry. I am so slow at panning those things. Sometimes I feel guilty for bringing you guys along for the ride. Like, oh, I am just the most boring person on earth. I'm going to wipe down this compact as well. I mean, I suppose for the sake of, did she specify that it had to be makeup, or could I say skincare? I suppose for the sake of just progress and seeing things go, it's been the most fun to pan my skincare products because those are really going quickly. And I could actually see my inventory numbers go down. I always say that in my inventory. Like, I know you guys aren't here to really, like, I know my skincare inventory is not my most interesting inventory as far as like looking at what I got, but it's always definitely my most interesting inventory as far as the progress I make from year to year. And that's pretty awesome. Okay, so I feel like that's pretty well cleaned out. Again, it just doesn't seem like a lot of product, but there's more here than anything else I've worked on in this video. Wow, that's surprisingly hard. Okay. Oh boy, I'm not going to be able to say this next one. Dulcinea Susanna. Dulcinea Susanna? Did I get that right? Man, I hope so. She asks, how long does it take you to use up mascara? Huh. What does your family or husband think of your makeup journey, having so much stuff, project panning, having your YouTube channel? Okay. It takes me, I would say between 9 months and a year to pan a mascara. I don't go by the rules for mascara. I know a lot of people are really strict about the rules, but you know, I have some really great mascaras and I love them, and there's no way I'm going to throw them away when they haven't bothered my eyes the day before just because it's one day more. I don't know. That doesn't mean anything to me. Now, if I was to get like an eye infection or a problem, I would toss whatever mascara I was working on just to make sure. But as long as I'm fine, I will use mascara regardless of the date. And usually I feel like at about a year is when I've used it up. So sometimes 9 months. It depends on if it's a deluxe sample or a full size. But I've been working on a Lancome mascara. It's got to be going on a year now. I honestly don't know when I started working on it, but I could probably go back in my pictures and figure out when my last mascara empty was. But I love that Lancome mascara so much. It is like one of the best mascaras I've ever used. And I do not want to toss it out until there isn't a drop of mascara left in it. Wow. That grinded down to a really nice powder. And the next part of the question was, what does my husband think about my makeup journey, having so much stuff, project panning, having a YouTube channel? Hey, Will, are you in the kitchen?
Yeah.
What do you think of all my makeup?
What do I think of your makeup?
Yeah.
You have a lot of it.
What do you think of me having a YouTube channel?
Seems like it keeps you busy.
That's true. It keeps me very busy. Very, very busy. I very rarely feel like I have enough time in my life to do everything I need to do. YouTube is a very time-consuming hobby. It's a great hobby if you like to be at home all the time, because if I didn't like to be at home all the time, there was no way I could or would want to do this. It's a great side gig for a homebody. But that being said, it still takes a lot of time. I can't tell you how many nights I'm trying to get a video uploaded before that day is over, and I'm like falling asleep, staring at my phone, trying to stay awake. A lot of times I don't stay awake. It's And I feel like I'm relatively quick. Like my get ready with me videos always take a little bit longer to edit. But like my Project Pan videos are pretty straightforward. I mean, I have to edit out all of the mistakes I make because I very rarely can get a full sentence out of my mouth without screwing some word up in there. But I have to edit a lot. But they're pretty straightforward editing, and I feel like if I'm doing a 20-minute video that I'm editing down to 15 minutes, I could probably get that done in about an hour and a half. And then it usually takes me about a half an hour to upload it to YouTube, and maybe another 10 minutes to make a thumbnail and complete the description box. Like, I feel like I can get those done pretty quickly. But if I'm doing get ready with me, oh, those take forever to edit. But yeah, I mean, I guess I would say that my husband is probably, I don't want to call him supportive, because supportive seems like a strange thing to call him, because he's not like sitting by my side going, whatever makes you happy, honey, I just want you to live out your dreams. Like, that's not him. Like, he's just kind of like, I think we just kind of have an understanding. Like, he has his hobbies, I have my hobbies. I support his hobbies, he supports my hobbies. I think that's just kind of how we look at it. I mean, I think that's how we look at it. You know, we just kind of support each other. I try not to let my YouTube interfere with anything for our life, our kids. Like, YouTube is always going to come last. I love doing YouTube, but if our kids need something, YouTube's got to wait. If my husband needs something, YouTube's got to wait. Like, if we're down here having family time, I'm not going to kick everybody out so that I could film a video. YouTube's always going to come last, and my family's always going to come first. So I think because of that, my husband doesn't have a problem with it. I think if YouTube started coming before family, then maybe he'd have something to say about it, but I make sure that that's not the case. And the rest of my family, we don't really talk about it. My immediate family, my mother, my father, my two brothers, my sister-in-law, they know I have a YouTube channel. I don't think any of them watch a single one of my videos. I hear YouTubers be like, sorry, Mom, or Mom, if you're watching this. Like, my mom is never going to watch one of my YouTube videos. My mom loves me very much, but I don't think she's ever going to watch one of my YouTube videos. She doesn't even have a YouTube account, I don't think. She's not subscribed to my channel. Yeah. So, and they don't really ask about it, And I'm fine with that, to be honest. Like, I feel like I'm so much more than a YouTuber that, that's fine with me. Okay. We are getting there. All right, next. I think I'm going to repress this white shade from my Pan That palette. This one in this top hand corner is a little hard to reach, and I haven't repressed anything in this palette yet, but I figured, why not? I probably should have done it before I repressed the bronzer, but whatevs. I just use this powder to set my eyeshadow primer, so if the little bronzer gets in there, that's fine. Okay, Diana Martin asks, how many painting projects are you doing right now and which one is your favorite? Off the top of my head, I do not know how many painting projects I am doing right now. So while I am editing, I will take the time to count up how many projects I'm doing, and I will leave a number right there. Right there. But what is my favorite project that I'm doing right now? I think my favorite project right now is Beauty A to Z. And I would say that there have been years where A to Z was my favorite project to do. But I am particularly loving it this year. A lot of the products in that project are products that have been in projects for like 2 years. And I'm finally finishing them off this year. So that is pretty exciting. But yeah, I definitely love Beauty A to Z. That might be the favorite project that I'm doing right now. There's a soft spot in my heart for the Graveyard Project pan as well. I really like the Graveyard Project pan. That project just started so recently that I'm not sure if I love all of the products that I put in there. Sometimes it takes me a while to decide if I made the right call with the products that I put in the projects. But A to Z has been going on for like 4 months now, so I'm pretty sure I'm happy with the products I'm working on in that project. I think I like the products I picked for Graveyard. Okay, I definitely got a little bit of bronzer mixed up in here, but like I said, I do not care because I just use this little powder to set my eyeshadow primer. By the way, this style of repressing was something I kind of gleaned from watching the Makeup Breakup on the Beauty News channel, on Beauty News. Before that, I would not take the product out of the pan and pour it into a separate container. I would just crunch it up or crush it up inside whatever pan it's in and repress it in that pan. So it wasn't until I saw Haley, I think it was Haley, who poured the powder into a separate container, mix it up, and then pour it back into the pan, that I started trying it this way. And this way definitely works best for me personally. Okay, the Nail Polish Hound asks, whose videos do you enjoy watching most? Oh man, that is a good question. All right, the next one I am going to be repressing comes from my Pan That palette from last year. My Petite Pro 2 from Viseart. I'm going to go ahead and repress this peachy shade. After I filmed my Products I Have Pan On video, it cracked. I was thinking about repressing it already, but then it cracked in here. Oh, now it's not coming out, but this piece cracked off and it was getting hard to use. I don't currently have this in a project and I don't know when it will be in a project again, but whenever I do work on it again, it was getting hard to access with just the pan, with just the product around the edges. So I'm gonna go ahead and repress this now in the hopes of getting this into a project down the road. So a lot of you guys know this, but I'm really, really, really far behind on watching YouTube videos, like embarrassingly far behind. It's really embarrassing to talk about it, but I don't know anybody, and I can't think of anybody who's done this. Like, this is like special Paula stuff. Like the kind of stuff, when you think Paula is special, this is the kind of stuff you should think about. I am so far behind on watching YouTube videos that I'm coming on 3 years. I'm literally watching videos that are pre-pandemic. And as I'm watching these videos, I'm looking at these people going, you poor suckers, you have no idea what's about to happen. When somebody announces that they're going on vacation, I'm like, good for you. Get one last one in before the pandemic. Like, it's just, this bizarre time warp that I am living in, that I'm putting myself through, where I'm 5 months behind on posting Instagram posts. I'm 3 years behind on watching YouTube videos, and I'm just so confused. And it is really weird. I don't know how I fell into this trap, but for a long time, I would just watch what I could on YouTube. Like, I would watch the most important videos that came into my feed. And then I discovered the watch later tab. And I was in awe. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can save all these videos to watch later. This is brilliant. And so I started saving videos, and I would watch videos from the watch later list, which gave me a lot more time and a lot less pressure. I didn't have to watch it because it was going to disappear from my feed. I could just watch it whenever I wanted to. How wonderful. And I started falling behind further and further and further. And currently, I am watching videos from around late August, early September of 2019. So that is, I'm getting really close to being 3 years behind on watching YouTube videos, which is just insane. I do not know how that happened. I currently not only have a completely full watch later list, I have 9 watch later lists. So I have the original watch later, but then I created another list called watch later 2. I have watch later 3, watch later 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if you multiply 9 times 5,000, because each one of those lists can hold up to 5,000 videos. Now, some of those videos might only be 2 minutes long. Others might be an hour long. But I have 40. Let's just round it down to 40. I have about 40,000 videos saved to watch later. I don't know how that happened. But there's a lot of good content that I would like to watch one day. Yeah. If you are a small YouTube channel, I want to support you. I want to watch your videos. And if you are a big YouTube channel, I want to watch your stuff too. So, yeah, I just save them all. I don't care that I'm 3 years behind. It's a little weird. I definitely think it helped me in many ways because I have no idea what is being released right now. I'm so out of the loop as far as, oh, I put way too much alcohol in that one. I don't know why I did that. But I have no idea what the new makeup is right now or what the new releases are. And I'm not nearly as tempted to buy makeup as I used to be when I did know what the new releases were. Like, just the act of watching beauty news was such a trigger for me. Just an unbelievable trigger. And now that I'm watching those videos 3 years later, I have the desire to purchase makeup has significantly decreased. And I definitely think it's because I don't get that urge, that like FOMO. I think a huge part of my makeup shopping habits came back to FOMO. And because I don't have that anymore, It is a wonderful gift. It is a wonderful gift to not constantly obsess about new makeup. But unfortunately, I'm just completely out of the loop when it comes to watching videos. Like, if somebody's announcing that they're pregnant this week, I'm not going to find out about it for like 6 years. So it's horrible that way, because a lot of small YouTube channels are, giving little life updates, and I have no idea what's going on. But it's good for staying away from the new releases. But I suppose right now, some channels that make me the most happy, I do really like Bailey Sarian. I know I'm not the only one. I know she's got like 6 million subscribers, so I know a lot of you guys watch her too. But I do like Bailey Sarian. She is adorable and she's quite talented, and I like the Monday thing. I don't know what it's changed into now. I mean, I've seen it, but I haven't watched it. But I know she's not doing the murder, makeup, and mystery Monday anymore. It's now like something else. But I like Bailey Sarian. I've also been getting away from, I'm not going to lie, I've also kind of been getting away from beauty content to some extent. And recently I've been watching like some like political, like comedians who talk about politics. Like, I'm really into a couple of comedians who talk about politics. Oh, and you know who I just discovered last week? I gotta tell you guys, guess who I discovered last week? This guy has 3.65 million followers. I am not the first person to discover him. He has been discovered, but I have no idea he existed. I had no idea this guy existed until a week ago, and I cannot stop watching his videos. But it's Zefrank, Zefrank1. I will link his YouTube channel down below. This guy's videos give me more joy. I love this guy's videos so much. They make me so happy. He basically does like the same, it's kind of like the videos that you would see on the Nature Channel or BBC or Discovery, like Blue Planet, like one of those kind of videos. But it is so hysterical. It like laugh out loud. I started watching a video while I was at work the other day, and I got the giggles so bad that I couldn't stop. Like, I couldn't control the giggles, and so it turned into crying. And then I was like bawling my eyes out in front of everybody because I was laughing so hard. Like, I was laughing so hard I couldn't I was gasping for air because I could barely breathe. Oh my gosh. He is so funny. And so I've been sharing videos with my husband every now and then. So like, I send him a link to a Z-Frank video, and then, I find a funny one later. They're all funny, but some are a little bit funnier than others, and I send another one to him. And finally, after like I sent him like 5 videos, my husband replied back, yeah, this guy's pretty funny. And I was like, well, that's good to know, because honestly, like, you liking this YouTuber, it could make or break our marriage. Like, if you didn't like this YouTuber, it could mean the end of our marriage. Like, I need you to like this guy that much. He is that funny. So I've been watching a ton of him lately. But as far as Project Panners, let me get back to Project Panners. I still love watching Project Pan videos. And now that I'm so far behind, one fun thing is that now that I'm so far behind on watching Project Pan videos, I can watch an entire project from start to finish. So I sometimes just, like, let's say Jessica is doing the Pan That Palette. I could watch her entire Pan That Palette from January until December, one after the other, and get like non-stop content from Jessica. So that is one huge perk of being so far behind on watching videos, is you don't have to wait another month to get the next update. You could just watch the entire series from start to finish. So that's kind of fun. Oh, I put way too much alcohol in this one. What was I thinking? It is starting to dry up though. I still think my favorite videos to watch are Pan That Palette videos. I really do love watching Pan That Palette videos. And I know a lot of people have suggested to me over the years that maybe I don't want to keep doing Pan That Palette because I'm really bad at panning a palette. Like, the odds of me ever actually panning a palette entirely in 1 year are slim to none. And that maybe I should switch to like a, you know, palette of the week or something so that I could get more use out of my makeup collection. And although I completely understand why people are suggesting that, I don't think I ever could, because I just love Pan That Palette way too much. I love watching it. I love doing it. Does it bother me that I'm the slowest project panner on earth? Sometimes. Sometimes it bothers me a little, but I just do what I can do. Oh no. I'm so busy focused on trying to repair this damage I've done. I've stopped talking completely. I can't believe I used too much alcohol. If I wasn't like ready to go to bed right now, I would just let it dehydrate in this glass container right now, but I'm getting kind of tired and I have to work tomorrow. So typically, no matter how neat I try to be, I almost always still have some powder left in this container. And usually I use it up the next morning. So whatever's in here will either end up on my cheeks as blush or on my eyes as eyeshadow tomorrow morning, so that I don't waste any powder, because we all know what I think about wasting powder. I don't like it. All right. That is a train wreck of a repressing job. What a shame. I really didn't get a chance to even press it. I tried to press it and then I felt like I pulled out half the product. For some reason it didn't stay in the pan. I guess I could try one more time. That one wasn't so bad. That one actually stayed in the pan better. That's good. Okay, it's getting better. You gotta give it a little pressure. If you just let it dry on its own, it will crack and break again. So the only way to really, truly repress something is to put some pressure on it. Okay. I feel a lot better about that now. Okay, I feel like there's no way I'm gonna get to all these questions since I'm basically done with the repressing, but oops. But let me see if there's a few more that I can answer. Don't look at my password. Okay. The next question is, this is from Teresa, are you still trying to go more plastic free? And if yes, what are the things you would like to replace next? I don't know if I'm trying to go more plastic free at this point. I'm trying to maintain the level. I am trying to maintain the level of plastic free that I've been at. One of the best things I have found as far as going plastic free is to stop purchasing. I really think that's been the best thing I've done in the last year or two, is my low buy and decreasing the amount of purchasing I've been doing. That has had the greatest contribution personally to going plastic free. Now, unfortunately, I live with two other little human beings who consume a lot of plastic by way of toys and by way of, school and art projects and things like that. I mean, we just have an unbelievable amount of plastic entering our life still. Even if I was doing much better, the toys alone are a huge source of plastic. So I don't feel like I'm really winning the battle against plastic, but a lot of the things that I had previously committed to, I am still maintaining, and I guess that's something I can be proud of. And the fact that my low buy has contributed to less plastic. Okay, here's a good question. This is a muck again. She asks, what happened to the box of stuff from the unboxing video you filmed with Jamie? Well, so glad you asked. I still have it. It's still here, and it has actually grown. I have more stuff than I previously had. Since filming that video I filmed with Jamie of the unboxing of the stuff that was sent to me by a subscriber, I have gotten a huge declutter from Jamie. Plus, I got another box of stuff from that same subscriber. So I still have a lot of makeup that I'm not like claiming yet as far as my inventory or as far as my low buy bank. However, I'm going to have to come to terms with that. And I've been talking with the person who gave me a lot of that stuff, the subscriber who gifted me a lot of that stuff. And she knows where I'm at with this, but my hope was to get out of the hole that I'm in from my low buy bank and start bringing some of those products into my makeup collection slowly once I had points to do so. So that's kind of still my plan, but that's really a long ways away from me getting there. I'm still very far away from getting to the point where I have points in my bank to bring. It's really ironic. I don't know what I'm doing, guys. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, but I have a lot of makeup in my house, and it's all brand new, and I would like to play with it, but I don't really want my inventory to go up, and I don't want the points to count against my low buy bank, so I'm not touching it. But there's like some Super Shock shadows in there that I really should be using, because we all know what happens to Super Shock shadows, and there's like a couple of Jelly Much shadows that I think dry up even faster than Super Shock shadows. So I really need to get in there and see what I got once again. I haven't looked at it in a while, but the other thing, and I've talked to this subscriber about this too, is that, I mean, there are times where I have the urge to shop, like I want something new, and she's like, go to that box you have and pull out some stuff from that box, which is so true. I mean, it's really an excellent point. Like, if I want to shop, I can shop that bag of new stuff and bring some of that in if I'm really feeling the urge to shop that much. The reason I'm feeling the urge to shop isn't just that I want new stuff, but it's also that I have some Ulta points that are expiring too. So that's contributing to my urge to shop too. But so far I haven't shopped, and so far I haven't touched the bag of stuff, and I'm just kind of in a holding pattern but I still have all of it, and it has definitely grown since I last showed it to you. There's more stuff. So maybe one day I will just bring it all into my inventory and be like, hey, it is what it is. I don't know. I don't know. I could also just give it all away too. I know that, but I don't know. For some reason, I haven't done that. So, yep, I still have the box of stuff. I hope I'm saying your name right. Gabricia asks, why do you always pan so many products at one time? It makes the progress slower, so that's why I'm asking. Great question. It's an excellent question. There's a couple reasons why I pan so many products at one time. One of the reasons I pan so many products at one time is that there's so many good projects going on at any given moment, and I want to do them all. So a lot of the projects I do, I've been personally invited to do by other people. And there's something kind and sweet and honorable about it. It makes me feel special when somebody DMs me and says, hey, I'm doing this project and I'd like you to be in that project. It makes me feel special. And I feel so honored that people would like me to do project pans with them that I feel compelled to say yes. And so a lot of the projects, the one reason I pan a lot of products is because I feel compelled to do way more projects than I probably should. However, I like supporting other project panners, and the projects are super fun, and I want to do them. So I end up with way too many products to work on, and it slows me down. But the other reason I pan too many projects is that when I'm extremely strict with the amount of products I'm working on, like one eyeshadow, one blush, one lipstick, I get bored and I end up failing at project panning. So I do feel like panning more products keeps me committed for longer periods of time, and it gives me enough variety that I still enjoy putting makeup on, even though I'm basically working with the same few products. But one of the reasons I pan way too many products isn't necessarily because of the products, but because of all the projects, and I just like doing all the projects. Someone here named Elizabeth asks, where is your last ship? That question had me laughing so hard. That was a message from Cookie Pans. She wants to know where I hid my last ship on her battlefield. That was very funny, and I'm not going to tell you. Devin asks, are you still doing the worms and composting? If so, how's it going? If not, why not? I am still doing the worms and composting. I am a worm farmer. A lot of you guys probably don't know that. I am a farmer of worms. I don't know why. People ask me that all the time. I have no answer for that question, like I have no answer for almost every question asked about why I do the things that I do, because I don't know. But I farm worms. I've been farming worms for 2 years. This was a pandemic thing. A lot of people did different things during the pandemic. A lot of people bought bread makers and started making bread. But I bought worms and started farming worms. I saw a video, which I will also link in the description box, of a pumpkin being annihilated by worms. It's gotten, I think, a couple million views now. It is an awesome video of the power of worms and what worms can do. But it was a time-lapse video of worms eating a pumpkin. Eating's a weird word, but yeah, they composted a pumpkin and they turned it into nothing in like a month, and it was so cool. And I was like, I want worms. So it was the middle of the pandemic. I was stuck at home and I ordered some worms, and I fell hard for the worm farming, and I do still have my worms. I still have 4 bins. I have 2 bins of African night crawlers and 2 bins of red wigglers. It's going well. I still produce way more garbage than what my worms can compost. Worms basically eat food scraps, not meat or cheese, but like vegetables and food scraps, and they eat paper and cardboard. And I still produce way more food scraps and way more paper and cardboard than what those 4 bins can eat. But I don't necessarily want my worm farm to grow anymore. Like, I could create more bins. I could split off the bins that I have and add more and that I would be able to get through more garbage that way. But I don't know if I really want to take up more space and more time with farming worms. 4 feels like enough for me. The hardest part about worm farming is when it's time to sift out the composted material, i.e. the worm poo. It's very time consuming, and it's not so much fun. And that's the hardest part of the job. And so I have a bin right now that is in desperate need of getting sifted, but the weather's been crap and I've been working crazy, so I'm just kind of waiting for the end of the school year and then I'll deal with that. But it's basically a very heavy bin that is just filled with processed material that I could put in my yard, around my plants and as fertilizer, and it'll definitely help the plants to grow. I will say that my garden, my flowers are looking very healthy and happy this year, and I think it's from 2 years of spreading worm compost all over the plants. Yeah, I think my yard is already demonstrating the benefits of the processed worm poo. It's magic. It's magic. I still like it a lot, but it's a lot of work. I haven't posted a video on it. I used to post these vermivlog videos. I probably have. I had a 35-minute video, and I thought, that's ridiculous. You can't post a 35-minute video about worms. Nobody's gonna watch that. You got to edit it down. And I watched it again, and I probably shaved off a minute. I thought, that's still ridiculous. You got to shave down more. And I watched it again and shaved off another minute. And I think after watching it like 3 more times, I got it down to about 30 minutes. And I still thought that was a ridiculous length of time for a video about worms. But I was so sick of watching the same video over and over again that I just needed to take a break from it. And I never came back to it. I still have and I eventually deleted that video. I still have all the original footage, but I deleted that video. And now I've filmed a couple more bits. So I probably have like an hour's worth of footage about worms. But yeah, I haven't had the time or energy to post another worm update for my YouTube channel. Jennifer asks, what are some of the Holy Grail products, makeup I love? That is so hard to say. 2 things that definitely stand out to me though. I love the Too Faced Sweet Peach primer and foundation. I don't think my skin has ever looked as good as it did when I was using the Sweet Peach foundation. I think that was what it was called. There's a primed and peachy primer and the whatever the Too Faced peach foundation was. That is the best foundation I've ever used in my life. And I am so sad that Too Faced discontinued that line of foundations because it is seriously like the best. I'm also a huge fan of Hourglass, I think it's called Diffused Light. The ambient lighting powder. I think that's my Holy Grail under eye setting powder. As far as eyeshadows, I'm still all over the board. I don't know if I can say I have a Holy Grail eyeshadow, but I definitely have a soft spot for Natasha Denona shadows. Like, I think I prefer Natasha Denona over Pat McGrath a little bit. As far as lipsticks, I don't know if I have a Holy Grail lip product. Yeah, I don't know if I have Holy Grail bronzer or a Holy Grail lip product. What I've eventually realized was that I like a very reddish bronzer, and I've found a lot of reddish bronzer type products in my blush inventory, and so I'm pretty much set on bronzer for the rest of my life. But I don't necessarily have a Holy Grail brand or product, but I definitely have a Holy Grail type for bronzer. I like a reddish bronzer. It's like almost like a blush. It could be a blush, it could be a bronzer, but that's what I like to use as bronzer. Highlighter. Holy Grail is such a loaded word. You guys are really putting me out there. I don't know what I want to say. If I say it today, I'm going to change my mind tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to answer one more question, and then I got to wrap this up because we're just hanging out here. The last question is from Sassy Sweetie. She asks, in a world where you manage to finish your stash, do you think you would ever start to use makeup normally? Now that I project pan, I can't really imagine just wearing random products from my collection. Actually, I do see myself using my makeup normally. If in a world, okay, in a world, it's hard to imagine that world because I think I've established that I have more than a lifetime's left of makeup in many categories. But let's say either through decluttering or project panning, I use up enough of my makeup to have what most of us would consider a normal amount of makeup. I think I would stop project panning altogether. I think the goal for me for project panning is to get my numbers down to a manageable amount. So if the day ever came where I felt like I had a manageable amount, I definitely think I wouldn't be project panning anymore. I do see myself always having like a shop my stash because like I started this video out talking about decision fatigue. I don't want to suffer from decision fatigue, and I want to have like a clear idea of what I'm going to put on in the morning when I wake up the next morning, and I don't want to have to sift through all of my makeup and think about it. But so I definitely could see myself doing a shop my stash, but no, I don't see myself project panning if my numbers were to get down to a reasonable amount. That being said, I don't think my numbers will ever get down to a reasonable amount for a lot of the categories I'm working on, so I don't really have to think too hard about that because I'm never going to have a reasonable amount of blushes or lipsticks or eyeshadows, so I'll be project panning those areas for as long as I'm wearing makeup. That's the real question, is how long will I be wearing makeup for? I often think about the fact that one of the main motivators for me to put on makeup is the fact that I have a job and that I go to work every day. And I'm motivated to wear makeup to go there and to look my best. But if I didn't have a job, how much makeup would I be wearing if I wasn't going to a job 5 days a week? I don't think I'd be wearing makeup 7 days a week like I am now. Maybe I'd be wearing makeup 3 days a week or 4 days a week. My makeup usage would start to go down immediately. And how much makeup am I going to wear when I'm 60 or 65? Like, am I going to be putting on a full face of makeup? Or is makeup going to have less meaning to me at that time? It's one thing to think about having 40 years left of life, like assuming I live to be 85 or 84, that's 40 years of time. That's 40 years of time to wear makeup. But the truth is, I'm not going to be wearing makeup like I am now in 30 years or 20 years. It's a little bit depressing to think about, but the truth is I probably only have about 15 more good years of makeup use up. And then I'm not saying I'm going to stop wearing makeup, but I'm saying it's going to look a little bit differently than it does now. It's going to look a lot different than it does now. I don't see this being my life forever. And probably at some point I will have to declutter a majority of my makeup that I haven't panned. It's really hard to think about that though, so that's why I tend to just like look at what's in front of me right now. Like, yes, I know I have 500 blushes and I could probably only get through another 20 in my lifetime, but I don't want to think about that. What I want to think about right now is what blush am I panning right now, and when I finish that blush, what will I work on next? And that's kind of how I keep going, because it's kind of overwhelming to think about the reality of it for me. But yeah, no, if I was to get down to a reasonable amount of makeup, I don't think I'd project pan anymore at all. I love project panning, but I don't think I would feel the need to if I had a reasonable makeup collection. I love project panning because I need to get my numbers down. But if I didn't need to get my numbers down, I don't think I'd need to project pan. Yep, that's my answer and I'm sticking to it. Oh my gosh, you guys, I've been talking forever. I'm so sorry. This is another video that's going to be a beast to edit. But that's everything. This is my repressing. I am so excited to finally have this stuff repressed. I am so excited to be able to wake up tomorrow morning and finally start using the stuff again in its nice, new, repressed version. Let me know if you found this video fun or interesting or relaxing or anything. because I would be happy to start saving some products for repressing for a future video. If you asked a question and I didn't get to it, I'm so sorry. Thank you guys so much for asking your questions. It means the world to me. But, you know, I could sit here for another hour and talk about those questions, but I have to go to bed and I cannot post a 3-hour repressing video. Somebody has to sleep at some point. But yeah, I'm really happy with how everything turned out, and I am really excited to start using these things again tomorrow and finish. Like, I think some of them are so close to being finished off, and I'm really excited. And I am kind of motivated to get this pan back into a project soon now that I've repressed it. So yeah, that is everything. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.